viewers, Rectangular back, this time with another review. Here from Medicom we have their Mafex series number 6 Darth Vader action figure. Been very anxious to get this. I pre-ordered about a year and a half ago, so finally shipping now. And this is a 1/12 scale or 6-inch scale figure. Should work well with your Star Wars Black series. And let's see the back of the package now. Here we have the back of the package. Shows Darth Vader holding his lightsaber, shows that he has the removable hand, and also comes with the alternate unmasked and unhelmeted version. So very excited to see how that racks up with the Star Wars Black Series 6-inch version. I will be doing a comparison, so stay tuned for that at the end. Alright, let's get this guy cracked open and take a closer look. Very quickly, I just wanted to show the figure in the clamshell packaging that he comes in. As you can see on the left here, he's got a display base or display stand with a clear base and clear arm with a clear clasp to grab him from behind. Then we have 8 additional pairs of hands, so he comes with a total of 10. In addition, he has the stub or stump of a hand that was cut off by Luke Skywalker, and his lightsaber and the unmasked or unhelmeted Anakin Skywalker head. Alright, let's get him out of the package and get a more detailed look at him. Alright, here we have the figure out of the packaging, and on first impression I can say I'm extremely happy with him. Very, very cool figure. There are a few minor gripes I have, but overall I'm extremely happy with my purchase. It's going to cost you between $42 and $55 shipped for this guy. As far as I know, he's import only. You can only get him from Japan. I know there are some Japanese sellers on Amazon and eBay that have pretty reasonable prices, so I would probably go that route if your favorite import site does not have him in stock. So yeah, I really like the cape. I really like the paint so far. Only a few minor paint blemishes. There's just a tiny bit of green missing from one of the buttons here, and in the corner of his chest armor just a tiny bit of silver missing, but you know, there's not a whole lot of paint apps on him, just these details pretty much just on the chest, you know, the alternate head, and then you have the helmet details with the silver there, and then inside the helmet there's more. But good job on the paint. The joints feel pretty tight. Obviously the more you manipulate them, the more loose they're going to become, but just right out of the package he does not have any loose joints. He stands well by himself, and really like the overall look. The nice mixture of soft goods. As you can tell, he's got a soft goods cape, which does pick up lint extremely easily. Unlike the Black Series cape, which is more of a thicker material, almost like a wool material, this is more like a satin type material. You can definitely feel the difference, and you know, you can see that there's more folds in it. So this is going to be probably better for, you know, more dynamic poses. It does have wires in the cape, so you know, you can really get it splayed out in some pretty dramatic poses. Just has the 2 wires on each, one on each end. There's no wire in the middle, so you might need to use a stand to prop up the back of the cape. But yeah, it's nice lightweight cape, and I think it has some really nice flow to it. You know, it drapes really well off of him, and you can see it's got the rubber, soft rubber material on the rest of the figure there, which is pretty flexible in its own right, so it doesn't hinder the articulation, and it's got nice cuts for his legs if you want to get him in a really dramatic fighting pose. And you can see on the back he's got like a hilt for his lightsaber to hang off of. And I haven't tried attaching it, but it does have a little, yeah, it does have a little notch for the lightsaber to attach to. So let's go ahead and try that now. Alright, so yeah, you can affix it on there. Obviously when the cape is down, you're never gonna see it. So you know, it is there, but you know, it's a nice attention to detail. You know, they didn't give that with us with the Hasbro figure, so that's very cool to have that. So yeah, I think he is a pretty good size. I think he's probably a little bit on the small side, and that's really my only complaint, is that I think he could be just a tad bit taller, and also I think his limbs, I think if the chest was more broad, they could have made his limbs a little bit beefier. I think that's my only major complaint, is that his arms just look a little too skinny. The legs, maybe not so much. They could be a little bit beefier, but the arms are definitely thin looking. It's hard to tell because, you know, his cape is behind him, but when you look at him in person, they definitely look thin, and well, you'll be able to notice that more when we get into comparing him with other figures. So the helmet is removable, just pops off. There is actually a peg in the top of the helmet, you can see there. So he has a hole in the top of the head, and that peg just goes right into that hole there. So very cool painted detail there on the helmet. I'm going to pan up a little bit, zoom in, you can see that helmet a little bit better. So yeah, it's got like some gold, silver and gold painted details there on the face mask, and then on the top there where the helmet attaches, and then on the back you've got the exposed head. It's a very subtle kind of brown, like a dark flesh tone, so it's not really showing up that well on camera. I think if it made just a little bit more pink, it would stand out a little bit better, but looks pretty good. And then this head actually, the entire head itself is on a ball peg, so you can pop it off if you decide you want to put your Bandai model kit head on there or whatever. You do have that option, but then it just pegs back in, and then the head is in two pieces, and then it just pops off the top there, and then you can put on the alternate head, the Anakin Skywalker head. So I'll try to get a close-up of that. I think they did a good job with the sculpt and the paint on this. My only real complaint is that there aren't any pupils painted on his eyes, so no black dots there. For the most part, did a pretty good job painting the eyes and the scars on his head. It's pretty subtle, like I said, though. I think just a little bit more pink would make it stand out just a little bit better, but I'm not really complaining. I'm not gonna have him displayed like this very often. So, and you can see it's keyed there to pop into the base of the head here, and fits in there really nicely. It's not going to fall out. And then he's got two little microphones there in front of his lips. So that's one of my only very nitpicky things, is I wish that the microphones were a little bit further away from his face. They are a soft rubber material, so you're not really going to have to worry about breaking them off. So if they had done with a hard plastic, that might have been an issue, but that was a smart move on their part. And then you can see the other painted details there in the inside of the mask. So very cool, very nice attention to detail. The chain, I don't remember, I think in Return of the Jedi it is black, so That's why they just kind of sculpted that on. It's not a movable chain there on the front of the chain, on the front of the armor. So let's go ahead and, and just for fun, you can put the helmet on there, but it doesn't really work because of that peg that's inside it. So let's put the regular head back on and continue the review of that. There we go. And this, it does rotate. I kind of wish it was keyed a little better, because the helmet does pivot from side to side because it's just a straight round hole. So you know, when you display him, you want to be careful that you don't have his helmet cocked sideways. So that would have been my only other suggestion for them to do, is if they had made that keyed, it would line up better and you wouldn't have to worry about getting it perfectly on there. So let's show the alternate hands. He's got just a ball peg that pops off, very similar to, let me zoom back out, very similar to like a Figma joint or SH Figure Arts joint there for the hand. And then I think this whole piece pops off here at the wrist to get the removed, or the battle damaged version. It's got another ball peg there. It's actually not a ball peg, just a peg, just a straight peg. And you can see that. And then you can put the saber damaged hand on there. It is pretty tight. Don't think it's keyed. It's just a tight peg. Yeah, it's just a tight peg hole. So then you can get that alternate hand on there where Luke chopped his hand off. Very cool. And it's pretty tight, so you don't have to worry about it popping off. And then let's try, here's his force using hand. Very cool. And they are a pretty soft material. Don't feel like I'm going to break it, so I'm glad they didn't go with a hard plastic on there. And then we have a closed clenched fist. And we have a saber holding hand. Very cool, which I'll put back on there last. I think he's got a pointing hand. There we go. So he's giving orders there with his pointing hand. And let's put the saber holding hand in there, and then we'll put the saber in there. There you go. And the saber fits in there pretty nicely. Now, one thing I love about this lightsaber is that the top is keyed, so you don't have to worry about it wobbling or getting loose and falling out. So it is keyed, so you can only put it in there one way, and it stays in there really nice and tight. And I really like the color of the lightsaber and the length. It's a very dark red, and I'll get into comparison with the Hasbro one, but I think this one looks a lot better. So let's put his saber down for a minute and get into the articulation. Starting from the top on the articulation, we have a ball peg in the head, which you can't really look down very well, but you can look up a decent amount. Of course, now I just want to get the ball back in there. You know, it does allow him to look side to side, but this is probably the most limited piece of articulation on him. Is you can only look up a little bit and you can't really look down. So that's a little bit disappointing as far as that goes. And at the shoulders, these flaps here are a soft rubber material, so they just hang off of the top armor piece. And then he's got a ball peg inside with another ball joint that the shoulder is attached to. It's showing up on camera there. So if you have the Spider-Man, I did a review on that figure as well. This the Mafex Spider-Man, very similar articulation point there. So you can get his arm, if you want to bend the shoulder armor up, he can go above that plane and rotate. The armor is going to be in the way, so you don't really want to crank it all the way around, but you can get it all the way straight and all the way back. So that's nice. And then all the way out to the side. And then it does swivel at the bicep as well. And then he's got double jointed elbows, so extremely cool. Very cool that we get that. And like I said, the arms are kind of on the skinny side. I think they could have still done the double jointed elbows and beefed up the sculpt. And then the glove, don't think it does move. I don't think it's really supposed to. It's not on a peg like, I don't think it's on a peg like the other side is. I don't really want to try removing it. I don't want to break it, but the hand, of course, is on the same ball peg that the right arm is. And this one, okay, it seems to be a little bit soft material, so you definitely want to make sure you're pulling these things out straight, because I can see that breaking. It's a very tiny ball peg. So let's go ahead and change one of the hands out just so you can see. That's pretty easy to do, but it's an import figure. You just want to be more delicate with it than you would a domestic figure. So at the top, he does have a piece of articulation there where he can crank back on his chest. So since his head is the limited articulation on the head, it's nice to have that piece of articulation there at the top to swivel back and forth. And it goes a lot more back than it does forward. And then his waist is also on a ball, I think it's a ball peg. I haven't tried pulling him apart. Haven't read the instructions to see if they're a warning about that, so I'm just not going to push the issue, but he can rotate pretty good amount. Looks like if you wanted to, you could probably go 360 there at the waist. So very cool with that. Obviously the skirt pieces don't rotate with him, so people might nitpick about that this skirt is glued on at the waist, but I'm not going to complain about it at all. And again, this is a soft rubber material, so it does allow pretty good flex for the articulation. As far as the hip goes, they're on a ball joint with a swivel, so you can swivel at the upper thigh and then kick out. This material gets thicker as it's glued to the top, so he's not going to be able to kick out nearly as much sideways, but he can flex the crotch piece and kick forward a good amount. It doesn't want to stay in that position. It's not ratcheted, but he can kick forward. And then he's got double jointed knees, and he can go more than 90 on the knee there, which is nice. I think it's pretty similar to a Figma joint. And then at the ankle, he can go up and down and rock side to side. Sorry, he's not cooperating very well with me either. But very nice ankle articulation there. And then he's got a toe joint, which you don't see too much anymore. Now the pins at the toe joint and the ankle are exposed metal, so you might want to go back and touch those up with some black paint. That's minor complaint of mine, but nothing that you can't hide if you really want to, so I'll probably end up touching those up. And Same articulation on both sides, and he does stand pretty well. There's no peg holes at the bottom of the feet, but he has got some decent center of gravity, so he can stand without too many issues. And then of course the cape is got a wire on either side, so you can get his cape flared out completely behind him if you want to, which is very cool, or off to the side. So really love all the different options that you got with this guy as far as alternate hands and the posability of the cape, alternate head, everything. It's a very well made figure. And let's get into some comparisons with some other figures. I do not own the Revoltech or SH Figure Arts or Bandai model kit versions of Darth Vader, so I'm going to use some photos that I found. This one came from a gentleman on Facebook named Michael Janin, and it just shows the Medicom or Mafex Darth Vader with the SH Figure Arts and the Bandai model kit version, and I'll throw in some pictures of the Revoltech version as well. I don't have a comparison photo to use. And then Shartimus Prime showed a comparison with some other versions of Darth Vader in his review, so I'm going to use his photos or screenshots from his review here. So definitely go check out his review of the SH Figure Arts Darth Vader for more information. Alright, so let's get into the comparison with the Hasbro version that I do own. Here we have a quick comparison of the lightsabers. On the bottom we've got the Hasbro Black Series 6-inch version of the lightsaber, and you can see it's a lot lighter plastic and the handle is actually much shorter. And then we have the Mafex here on the top, which is a lot deeper red. I don't display him in direct sunlight, so I don't think it's faded. I think that's just the way it came. I really prefer the Mafex version. It looks a lot better. I think the handle looks a lot better as well, and then it actually has the peg or the hole to peg into his waist holster. So very cool there. And let's compare the unmasked heads now. Here we have the unhelmeted Anakin Skywalker heads, and you can see the Hasbro on the right is a lot more blue or gray, whereas the Mafex is a lot more a normal flesh tone, more of a pink. So I don't know, it's kind of your personal preference which one you think is better as far as that goes. The Mafex one is a little bit smaller, more narrow, just by a hair, but I think the eyes are painted about the same. The Hasbro one might actually be a little bit better, and then the scarring is a lot more dramatic, I think, on the Mafex one than on the Hasbro one. More wrinkles on the head of the Hasbro one, there on the forehead as well, and then on the back. I don't think it's going to show up all that great on camera, but we've got about the same amount of scarring. I think the paint is just a little bit more dramatic on the Mafex one than on the Hasbro one, but yeah, pretty similar. I don't know which one I prefer yet. I definitely like the fact that you've got the microphones up near his mouth, but I think they're just a little bit too close to his mouth on the Mafex one than the Hasbro here on the right side. So that's a very minor complaint, but overall I think they did a really good job on both of these heads. It's just going to be kind of, what your own personal preference is. Alright, let's continue on with the comparison. Okay, so here we have the Mafex on the left and the Hasbro version of Darth Vader on the right. And as you can see, the Mafex one is actually a little bit taller. Now my Hasbro one is a little bit bow-legged, so that could be part of the problem. But he's also makes him hard to stand. So it's one of the many reasons I love this Mafex version so much more than the Hasbro one, is don't have these issues where you're fighting with him to get to stand properly. He stands much easier. And like I said, the proportions are a little bit more narrow on the Mafex one. I guess maybe I'm just used to seeing the Hasbro one. I do think that the arms could be a little bit beefier on the Mafex, but the lightsaber looks so much better. You can see it's almost a pink on the Hasbro one, where on the Mafex it's definitely a deep red. It looks a lot more like it's a glowing beam of energy than this thing looks like a piece of candy as far as I'm concerned, and or just plastic. So really like the lightsaber on the Mafex so much better. I think the plastic just is a lot more glossy on his boots, so it pops a lot better. Also, noticing now the paint difference, that there's paint. I don't know if in episode 4, the first Star Wars movie, if he had silver on the shoulder blades and then in Empire Strikes Back, I'm sorry, Return of the Jedi, if they were black. So haven't gone into that much detail to see which movie version we have here. But that's a noticeable difference where these are black. And I always thought they were black, I never thought that they were silver. And I think the helmet looks so much better on the Mafex than on this Hasbro one. It's a narrower head, but I think it works a lot better. This one looks very stout and kind of pushed in like a bulldog's face, and this looks more like a wolf's face. So much prefer the Mafex as well, and I think it'll look great next to the Stormtroopers. And yeah, hopefully you guys like the review. You share with your friends, subscribe if you haven't already, and I always love hearing back from you guys, so please leave a comment below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.